Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to Deus Ex. Now there's a reason we're back here in the subway, and that's because I wasn't completely correct about Gunther having a complete invisible wall around him. Exactly. I'll show you what I mean here.
There is no... Here comes your chance to be a hero. Good.
Except that I'm just going to run away real quick here. Used up a whole bunch of medkits. Hey, Jock! Jock, wait, come back! I made it out! Come on, man, don't leave me hanging. Aww. But yeah, I needed super strength, super speed, and ballistic protection for that, which is why I used the button that turns on all my augs at once. Anyway, there's actually nothing out here, obviously. No items to find, no people to talk to, just this really interesting lighting map here in the middle of Castle Clinton, and that's about it. And since I used a whole bunch of resources, let's reload, go back to the part where I surrender, and off we go. But before we do anything else, I hit escape immediately so that I could hit tab immediately and bring up the inventory, which you see is still full despite the fact that I've been captured. See, all this will go away in just about a split second, but right now it's here, and I can take advantage of that by dropping stuff on the ground and then picking it up once the script fires. It takes my inventory away. But as it is, I'm doing that right now for the grenades, and only the grenades, because I encountered another bug where I only got one copy of each when I recovered my stuff, and that's just unacceptable. I promise I won't use the grenades until I recover the rest of my inventory, though. Promise. Hey, I got a visitor!
I came to watch you die.
You're early. I've got at least 20 hours left.
I was hoping the kill switch would have started.
I don't feel anything.
You won't be able to hide it for long.
What have you done with Paul?
Same as anything that malfunctions. Same as you.
I guess I've been here for 4 hours, then. Supposedly I've got 24 overall.
I need you to escape. I can cut power to the door only a few seconds without being detected. Get ready.
Alright. It's nice that they don't bother having you linger in here. That'd be mostly pointless anyway. Apparently cut the power means open the door halfway. But hey, that's fine. It means I don't have any sort of time limit to get out, after which I'll be stuck there permanently or anything like that. Ah, another crate. So this guard's going to be a bit of a problem here. Apparently he stores his cigarettes and his booze in one of the drawers here. Yep, there he is. Alright, it's a bit of a waiting game here, since all I've got is this baton to use against him. If I had opened that crate, that one there, I would have pulled out an electric prod. But then you got the same problem, you know, of needing to be behind him. And apparently I was behind him enough to get the backstab bonus, but I hit his arm instead, which is why he dropped the pistol. Curious. Alright, time to get back to rearranging my inventory just the way I like it. Here's the prod. Fortunately, for some reason, they don't take away your ammunition. So I don't even need those.
Check your six. He could
Whoa.
be anywhere.
That's new. Usually there's nobody close enough to hear anybody scream.
He's miles away by now.
But on the plus side, I got tired of waiting here pretty quickly. So yeah, that thing I just looked at, it's got codes for the detention cells and for the detention area in general, and even though I've never seen the detention area door shut. Didn't need the code for this one, but apparently that's because it's empty. The one I was in is just plain broken. But this one here is pretty important. It's got a med bot. And like I said, if you get killed in the process of coming here, then you will not start with full health. But that heal bot would be enough to make up for the difference. So there's really no purpose in surrendering.
You're the spy they caught, right?
I never worked for the NSF, but my brother did. I think he was captured too.
You're definitely not the only prisoner. I heard noises down the hall.
Good. Maybe I can find him.
Let's get out of here. I smuggled in a knife and a med kit too. You want the med kit?
Yeah, I'll take the med kit.
What do you say? I think we can make it.
But still, it's the principle of the thing. As for this guy, if he's only got a knife, he's not really that useful to me.
Just slip out. I'll handle the guards.
Well, all right.
Plus, I don't just want to see him die.
Now what?
We're on the same side, after all. Now, looks like the game considers that he's following me if you talk to him again.
Make a break.
Well, whatever. When you say make a break for it, what it means is just kind of stand there, I guess. Let's use one of those picks I just found. For another multi-tool. Lovely. Still, 2 multi-tools would be enough to take care of this camera. And I can use that crate back there to jump up and get to it, but that's kind of pointless.
Transmitting the floor plan. All of your equipment has been stored in the armory to the south. Paul Denson is alive in the laboratory to the north, but has a damaged info-link. You must inform him of the escape. Tracer Tong will require his data vault in order to defeat the kill switch.
Interesting. Wonder who that dataless guy is. Oh, yes. And here's the map. Detention center, that's where we came from right there. Gotta make sure you check which way is north so you can orient yourself using the compass. But yeah, there's 2 ways out of here. One goes to the armory, which is where we're definitely headed next. But the other way goes through the command center to the labs, which is where he said Paul is. We'll need to visit both in order to get out of here. Technically, you can get by without visiting the armory, but...
This is the maintenance facility for the security bots. The armory is to the south, on the opposite side of the main chamber.
yeah, if you don't visit the armory, uh-oh.
I've got a bogey. No ID.
Uh-oh. If you don't visit the armory, then you're going to lose all the mods you spent up to
That's
this
him.
point. How did you get behind me? That was just plain weird. Plus he got a headshot, that's kind of mean. On the plus side, it wasn't instantly fatal. Thank you, medium difficulty level. Yeah, there's all these bots around here, they're all red too, but none of them are working, none of them are active. Which is fairly important information. I've sometimes wasted a lot of rockets, wasted a lot of rockets in here, trying to get rid of bots which will never prove a threat.
That's him.
Oh, come on! He's square in the back. Son of a bitch. Unless we got an assault shotgun now. Back here. Gotta make sure you check all those little alcoves, because most of them have stuff hidden away. There's another couple of guys up here. In sort of the offices, I guess. So I figure, you know, good chance to try out the PS20. You'll note it has perfect accuracy, that's one benefit. So you can go for an easy headshot, which murders the hell out of that guy. Which was actually pretty impressive. MJ-12 agents have a whole lot more health than, say, the NSF guys downstairs. Looks like that was the elevator. And over here is a security panel. Let's see what we can do to this. Ooh, Bot AI alteration. That sounds very nice. Yeah, and it's turned on the bot, which is conveniently downstairs. Convenient because it allows him to murder the MJ-12 agent on the ground floor there. Uh-oh. Well, good thing he couldn't get a beat on me. Can hear people running around down there, but I think it's just the engineers left. I mean, as awesome as it was to have the bot just mow down the MJ-12 trooper, I think there was only the one he really had access to. I mean, there was the guy on the catwalks, but I dealt with him because he, you know, kind of ran into me. Anyway, that's this area pacified. Really only one thing left to do, which is talk to the mechanics, which fortunately look like they've calmed down now.
Get out of the way. We have enough to worry about.
Trouble with the bots?
Of course. Just look. Only one is operational, and now it's malfunctioning.
Maybe somebody hacked the security system and tinkered with its programming.
I think it was you. You don't exactly blend in, okay? I think you're the one they caught, and now you're trying to escape.
So, you gonna sound the alarm?
Maybe we can swing a deal, huh? You want the security login? 500 credits. I also have 7.62mm ammo for 600. Or what about an accuracy weapon mod? 750.
I'm not going to get a security login when I can just hack the thing, but weapon mods are always welcome.
Give me the accuracy weapon mod for 750.
I wish I was coming too. They've had me locked up here for months.
Of course, there's no point in applying it until I get my other weapons and their mods back.
You're Denton. I thought you were dead. Leave me out of it. You're gonna bring the troops down here. I just want to stay out of the way. Hey, I just work on the bots.
You know, it's kind of fascinating that apparently all the labor they've got down here is forced labor. Nobody aside from the troopers seems to be working here willingly. And there goes my bioenergy problem. Also, there's a lot of multi-tools around here. Like, one or two on every stack of crates. And down here we've got a scrambler grenade. That'll come in handy shortly. I said they're useless, and they basically are, but for what I plan on doing, it'll be helpful. See, through this door here to the armory, we've got a problem. And that problem is two gigantic bots, like the level 3 bots. They can fire missiles and like 2 separate machine guns simultaneously. They are real problems to deal with. But luckily, scrambler grenades changed their IFF signature. So that this one, this one now considers itself friendly to me and will shoot at enemies. The problem with scrambler grenades is that they are temporary. But it does last long enough for me to sneak up here into the very stealthy entrance into the armory. See, I got the code on the way in here, but I'm not going to need it. Instead, I'm just going to sneak across this pipe here and onto this catwalk thing. And maybe I can make the bot's life a little interesting here with some TNT. I did freak it out, but looks like it was too far away for it to do anything. Luckily, I'm too far away for it to do anything. Ha ha ha! Straight into the upstairs. And you can hear that? Yeah, there's 2 of them. Like I said, real problem. I don't think 1 EMP grenade is enough to take one down, even. apparently don't need any more rockets. That's pretty neat. But yeah, welcome to the armory. Upstairs we've got a whole pile of ammunition and a few weapons. But they aren't my weapons. But luckily, we've also got this, which switches the turret, turns off the camera, and turns off the 2 bots outside. Unfortunately, the turret is not shooting at the MJ-12 guy downstairs. Apparently he is safe behind his desk at the moment. Oh, but he's moving around now. Come on, shoot him. Shoot him. Excellent.
That's him.
Not quite so excellent, however. Oh, what in the merry hell is going on here? Well, so much for that idea. Anyhow, just wanted to prove that the damage bonus applies to every weapon.
I've found your equipment.
So I have every piece of inventory here. Let me just show you. This is this normal sniper rifle. This is my sniper rifle on drugs. Any questions? And you know what the best part is? It can take a silencer. Anyway, whole bunch of inventory management later. Here we go. Let's just have a quick look at the computer, see what the guy was working on. Ah, a plasma gun. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, that's what was in this containment field here. Now that we've got the code, we can look inside, and yep, that's a plasma gun. Unfortunately, it's a heavy weapon, which means it takes up just as much space as the GEP gun. And it slows you down, and it's got a slow reload speed, because I don't have any points in it. But it does fire 3 bolts at once. It has some pretty decent splash damage, and they will tear apart organic enemies. Unfortunately, that's all it does, tear apart organic enemies. And thanks to the WP rockets, that's something the GEP gun can do as well, except that the GEP gun also has normal rockets, which will tear apart mechanical enemies with ease as well, making it a far more efficient weapon than the plasma gun. As awesome as it sounds, it's just not nearly as good against mechanical opponents. By the way, I'm making a circuit here just to prove, there's 2 bots out here. You heard them stomping around, but you never actually saw them both at once. Anyway, time to get my ass back out of this area and onto the next section. Now, when you first jump out of the detention center, you might be, encouraged to jump down into this particular ventilation duct. But that's a bad idea because it does not go anywhere near the armory or the robot maintenance area.
You are beneath the command center.
Instead, it leads to the command center and to the labs on the other side. It does mean you can bypass the command center, or sneak in like so. But, oh yes, and also, haven't done anything in skills for a while because I was saving up for rifles. We now have time plus 25% base damage on the sniper rifle, instead of plus 10%. A very remarkable improvement. In between that and the silencer, my baby is now officially my lady. Accuracy has improved to about as much as the stealth pistol now, but except the difference being that the sniper rifle has no weapon accuracy mods in it. Anyhow, if we are careful and we are quiet, and thanks to that new silencer, the sniper rifle is pretty quiet, we can sneak up to this particular security panel, which is very important because it controls all the cameras in the lab section. And the cell block, but we're done with the cell block anyway. So that's all...
Checking it out.
Okay. So that's all we need to do in the command center. We'll be back later because that's where the exit for this entire area is. But until then, it's time to head over to the labs.
You are beneath the nanotech lab.
Not quite sure I like the look of that dead cat down here. I mean, the rats are still alive, but what killed the cat? Who the hell brought a cat down here anyway? Bah. Welcome to the nanotech lab. That guy right there happens to be a MIB. And that's what normally happens when they're shot. Now that we've got the MJ-12 troopers' attentions, I figure I might as well just kill them. I heard that one had a tranq dart, and there it is. Good. Spook the scientists, naturally. So, cage release. You do not want to press that button. I mean, the stuff in the cages will probably deal with the MJ-12 troopers and the scientists, but then they will deal with you, and that is not such a good thing. Honestly, the MJ-12 troopers are an easier bargain. Now, I believe this code is actually identical to one I found earlier in the game. It's actually kind of interesting. It's really just a coincidence, because you can find something with the code's number 9905. You can find something that explains that that's what the code is for this. But you can also guess it based on that previous experience. And aha, cranial augments. Aggressive defense system blows up explosives before they can damage you. Or you can get a spy drone, which shows you a little picture-in-picture of flies around, and if you press the button, it blows up in an EMP damage. Now, of course, if you're doing things right, no one will ever fire a rocket at you and hit. Which is why I don't generally take the other option. Plus, the spy drone is more interesting anyway.
Don't worry. No one here is going to call the guards. If I was trying to escape, I'd use the air conditioning ducts. Good luck. I hope you make it. Don't worry. No one here is going to call the guards.
Oh, blast door. I guess that would help if you press the cage release button, but, you know, still. Oh, another image. This one is Walton Simons. These are the augmentations he has installed. Just, you know, a little strategy for later. Over here, we've got another image. Oh, we sure got a lot of them this time around. And this is of the greasel, those things in the pens. Looks like it's fast, spits acid at you, it can claw you. That's basically all you need to know. Also, that was one code for this particular computer. But thanks to hacking, we can access, I can open the containment field here, or release the greasels in another way. But yeah, the big thing is that you can access 3 different accounts for a total of 5 different emails. A couple of them are particularly interesting, like the MJ-12 commando units, which will apparently be rolled out very soon. There's also this shaft back here, which is, it does not connect to any of the rest of the ventilation shafts. So this is the only way to get down here. And I didn't release the greasels down there because I don't have to, because there's one down here. which I can fight. And yeah, that was a lot of shotgun shells. They don't do that much damage individually, but the real big bonus with the combat shotgun is just how fast it fires for the amount of damage it does. And as for this down here, sadly it goes nowhere. So yeah, the only reason to come down here is 100 points, a dead Greasel, plasma clip, and some ballistic, damn it. Some ballistic armor. Gotta be careful on these ladders. So that about covers the nanotech lab here. Don't know why they call it that, because it's full of genetically modified creatures. And genetics is not nanotech. They both deal with very small things, but they're not the same thing. Anyway, we still got a long ways to go here before we're actually finished with the MJ-12 facility. Well, I'm gonna have to stop us here. And now, since our villains have finally been formally introduced, I figure that today's Conspiracy Corner could only be about one possible subject: Majestic 12. The documents. On December 11th, 1984, Jamie Shandera, a TV documentarian and amateur UFO researcher, received a roll of 35mm black and white film in a postmarked brown envelope with no return address. Once the film was developed, it was found to contain photos of a briefing prepared for then-President-elect Dwight D. Eisenhower exactly 2 weeks after he was elected in 1952. According to this briefing, there existed a secret government agency known as Majestic 12, which was formed to investigate and cover up UFO sightings and landings, in particular a crash landing in 1947 which occurred 74 miles northwest of Roswell Army Air Base. And for the record, I'll be getting to Roswell more directly on a later corner. Majestic 12 refers to 12 top generals and scientists with just the credentials you'd expect from a group formed to study a spacecraft and the aliens who came out of them. They also had something else in common. All 12 were dead by 1984 and therefore could not comment on their inclusion on this particular list. The original briefing would be followed by several memos and a complete operations manual for MJ-12 agents, all of which followed the original pattern. All but one were delivered anonymously to credible journalists and researchers. The memos were light fare, referring only vaguely or in passing to the MJ-12 group, but the operations manual was something to really sink your teeth into. It implied that there had been a number of crashes and dead aliens recovered, more than just the one Roswell incident, and it was the job of the MJ-12 group to investigate claims, recover bodies and artifacts, and hush up incidents with disinformation. All the classics are cited: meteors, downed satellites, weather balloons, and military aircraft. For obvious reasons, the documents came under fire immediately after they were publicized. A UFO debunker named Philip Klass led the charge, saying at one point, "Either these documents are the biggest news story of the past 2 millennia, or one of the biggest cons ever attempted against the public." At Klass's urging, the FBI conducted an investigation into the documents, but that only got as far as asking someone in the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, the counterintelligence wing of the Air Force, if they were real. Unsurprisingly, the AFOSI said no, and while that was enough for the FBI, it certainly wasn't enough for the UFO investigators. The devil is really in the details in cases like this. The government always says less than nothing, because, well, if they flatly denied whatever they aren't doing, you could potentially figure out what they are doing by process of elimination. So the real proof that the MJ-12 documents are forgeries comes more from the formatting and the lexicon than the actual content. After all, the world can be a pretty unbelievable place sometimes, so you have to leave that much aside to prove anything. Some examples of inconsistencies are how the Eisenhower briefing warned against copying using the wrong words compared to every other document from 1952, and how every date has a comma after the month, even though the day-month-year format doesn't need a comma there, and a professional secretary would have known this. The I in magic is also misaligned, indicating that the stamp that made it had replaceable letters, something no top-secret stamp would ever have. The Majestic 12 operations manual is also suspect. It uses different fonts and font sizes on the same page, and moreover, the text is justified. It lines up on both edges, and the first typewriters able to do all that came out 7 years after the date on the cover. There are also anachronisms out of place for a 1950s document, like media instead of press, and extraterrestrials instead of aliens. Another document was supposedly found while searching the National Archives, but it was discovered there by William L. Moore, which brings me to my second segment. William L. Moore. At the heart of the Majestic 12 controversy sits William Moore, who was coincidentally present every time the MJ-12 designation came up, at least until interest exploded and everyone started making their own fake MJ-12 documents. It all actually began before Jamie Shandera first opened his mail. In the first years of the 1980s, Moore was working with Paul Benowitz, the president of an Albuquerque, New Mexico UFO research organization. Moore claims he was working with an AFOSI agent named Richard Doty, who handed him documents to give to Benowitz, something known as the Project Aquarius Telex. Aquarius not only made a quiet reference to something called MJ-12, but it also claimed that one of the Roswell aliens survived the crash and provided valuable information for 5 years, such as space technology and the location of its home system in Zeta Reticula. Shandera also happened to be working with Moore when he got that anonymous roll of film. And as I said, Moore was in the National Archives with only one possible witness when the memo carbon copy miraculously appeared in a folder for which it wasn't marked, a folder which contained nothing else referring to MJ-12. Memo was also folded like it was in somebody's pocket, even though most memo copies go straight into a folder. Once general opinion turned against the veracity of the MJ-12 documents, Moore claimed that he was set up by his AFOSI contacts, and that the whole business was meant to discredit the Canadian researcher Arthur Bray, who had seemingly discovered a secret United States UFO investigation group in the late 70s. Bray's discovery, by the way, mentioned no names, and appears to be more credible than MJ-12. So, is Majestic 12 a real organization that struck a deal with the gray aliens to sell out the government for high-technology artifacts? Is it a government cover-up to make the idea of the military investigating alien spacecraft appear ridiculous? Or are Moore and Doty just a pair of assholes who like baiting the conspiracy fringe? I couldn't say for sure, but I'd lay money on that last option. Still, I can believe that there's a government organization that investigates UFOs. I mean, hell, they gave psychics a shot for about 20 years, and aliens are a whole lot more scientifically plausible. But do I think that they found anything? No. Even if there was only one real landing and all the aliens died on impact, there's no reason to keep it secret for what's going on 70 years. Public panic my ass, we're ready to know. I know I'm ready to know. Besides, I think keeping something as big as the answer to Are We Alone a secret for that long would make your head explode. It's a human tradition to tell everyone we can all the answers to the big questions we think we figured out. After all, that's what drives us to teach the next generation. Personal thoughts. Do I believe in aliens? Of course. I honestly think it's a little conceited to think we're alone. I realized our solar system is a sample size of 1, but surely it's far more likely that we're typical for a star of our size and composition. As the Kepler mission is proving, planets are everywhere. And why not? Gravity isn't perfect, and so all the nebular mass that doesn't make it into a star collects into gas giants. Although closer to the star's gravity well, most of the lighter elements make their way in, leaving only small rocky spheres, mainly composed of the heavier, slower elements. And if these tiny rocks are just big enough to have an iron dynamo core, which can create a magnetic field strong enough to protect an atmosphere, and if the temperature is at just the right point, thanks to the sun and internal heat, plus some lightning, which is easy to get from the thick, roiling atmosphere, then in liquid water, there'll be enough energy to create some very interesting crystals out of the lightest and most common elements on the surface. They're common on the surface, you see, because they floated to the top while the sphere was still liquid. The crystals I'm talking about are special because, individually, they're like any other crystals you'd find in a rock with a specific, repeating molecular structure, but they're organic. They contain carbon, and because carbon loves to combine with just about everything, and all at the same time, the molecules can combine in chains with other similar molecules, not just themselves. And we call these lipids, nucleic acids, and amino acids. And yet, if you get enough of these molecules together at once, as you would under those first earthly skies, then these complex chains would start to repeat themselves, just like any inorganic crystal. Dinucleic acids in particular love to repeat themselves thanks to how they fit together in matching pairs. And that is the basis of life. Consistent heat and energy, complex organic molecules, and the same desire for structure that causes rock crystals to form. Still, sapiens is possibly not as inevitable as life itself, and then there's the issue of faster-than-light travel, although we're working on that. And so, in a galaxy this vast, the chances of an alien visitation suddenly drop off to nothing. Besides, what sort of alien would be ambitious enough to build a warp drive and then not want to brag about it every chance they had? Just look at us. First thing we do when we go anywhere is make sure the natives know we've arrived, and we sure as hell didn't care about their status quo. Star Trek's prime directive of don't screw around with pre-warp societies is all well and good, but even the shows hardly followed it. Jane Goodall did her best research on chimpanzees by integrating herself into their troupe. And Marco Polo sure didn't learn about the Chinese by hiding behind a tree and taking notes. Especially now with the internet, I'd say an alien abduction is less likely than encountering an alien masquerading as somebody on an online message board. At least if they're really scientifically curious about us. And if you still want to argue the secret takeover angle, I say there's no point. If you want resources, go mine an asteroid. If you want organics, go find a planet whose wildlife isn't smart enough to fight back. They're bound to be more common than us. And if you really want to take over, just drop an asteroid or two onto a population center. That'll get the message across, and it's not like you'll have to live there if you make the whole planet uninhabitable. So there's always that. So I, for one, would welcome any alien explorers. Although, frankly, I'd prefer we do the exploring ourselves. Thanks again for joining me in Conspiracy Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.